Hi, I'm Pastor Daniel Flucke from St. Peter Lutheran Church in Green, Iowa. And as we continue through reading Martin Luther's Small Catechism, today we're going to wrap up the first section on the 10 Commandments. So, the 7th commandment, you shall not steal. What does this mean? We are to fear and love God so that we neither take our neighbor's money or property nor acquire them by using shoddy merchandise or crooked deals, but instead help them to improve and protect their property and income. So competition in business is good, but for Christians, acquiring property and money can't come at the expense of caring for our neighbors. And since Luther lived in a time and a setting with farmers and landowners and peasants, his examples tend to reflect his surroundings. So when he talks about helping neighbors to improve and protect their property and income, I suspect he's picturing things like a community barn raising, or the kind of situation where, for whatever reason, a farmer can't get the harvest in, and the community comes together to bring in the crops for them. In the Large Catechism, Luther also explains that this prohibition on stealing, it sounds simple, but it doesn't just mean individual thieves or cheats, but rather the great, powerful super thieves who associate with the influential and the great and who daily plunder not merely a city or two, but the entire country. So this commandment means simply to not steal, but also it calls us as Christian citizens to examine the systems of society and to oppose structures and practices that are unjust and lead to poverty or oppression. All this comes out of loving your neighbor. The 8th commandment, you shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. What does this mean? We are to fear and love God so that we do not tell lies about our neighbors, betray or slander them, or destroy their reputations. Instead, we are to come to their defense, speak well of them, and interpret everything they do in the best possible light. This is my favorite part of the entire catechism, because imagine what would change in our world if we intentionally worked to interpret everything other people do in the best possible light, if we gave everyone the benefit of the doubt. As much as I love social media and I'm using it to share these videos with you, I fear that social media has only made this worse. Stories and headlines are designed to provoke us to outrage by portraying people in the worst possible light. I can't believe they would do that. And all too often, we fall for it. And of course, it's a sin to tell a lie about someone, but what about believing the worst about others? That's no better. The 9th commandment, you shall not covet your neighbor's house. What does this mean? We are to fear and love God so that we do not try to trick our neighbors out of their inheritance or property or try to get it for ourselves by claiming to have a legal right to it and the like, but instead be of help and service to them in keeping what is theirs. The 10th commandment, you shall not covet your neighbor's wife, or male or female slave, or ox, or donkey, or anything that belongs to your neighbor. What does this mean? We are to fear and love God so that we do not entice, force, or steal away from our neighbors their spouses, household workers, or livestock, but instead encourage them to stay and fulfill their responsibilities to our neighbors. These two commandments are very similar, and again, they reflect Luther's time. You can see his agricultural setting there. And again, the purpose is to relate to our neighbors with love rather than jealousy. Pray for your neighbors and thank God for the blessings that they've been given, instead of comparing yourself to them. And when you are the one with an abundance, use it to love and serve your neighbors too. Well, that wraps up the 10 Commandments, and if you have any self-awareness at all, you know you haven't followed all of them all the time. None of us have. These commandments point out our sin, and they point out our need for God. And with that awareness of our sin, we'll look in the next section of the Catechism at the Apostles' Creed, and we'll see God's plan for redemption and forgiveness.